What's good, YouTube? American RX at it again. Uh, what's good, people? What's going on? You know what, right? Yeah, so I've been busy doing some things behind the scenes. Um, so for this presentation, I'm just gonna share something that I find pretty interesting um in regards to the Naturalization Act 1740, um, which is the same act that is the cornerstone for the cornerstone for the immigration policy. Um, so the U.S. immigration policy, um, and this is the pretty much its foundation and where it stems from. Okay, and why I say it's very interesting is because this is in prior to the Revolutionary War, the so-called Revolutionary War, American Revolutionary War. Um, it's before that time, right? Um, and this pretty much breaks down how much it was. The whole entire area was once known as British America, that comprises of um, the North American mainland and the West Indies, right? So they were all under the British America banner, right? Before the Revolutionary War. I think that's the Revolutionary War was pretty much that what sets the the pace for the U.S. corporation, right? So let's get to it. Um, the Plantation Act 1740, referring to colonies, or the Naturalization Act 1740. So it's the same thing as the Naturalization Act, right? Um, that tell you what a free white person is and all these things, right? All that gibberish are common names used for an act of the British Parliament, right? So all these acts came from the British Parliament, the British structure of government, right? And we all know that's pre U.S., right? That was officially titled an Act for naturalizing such foreign Protestants, right, and other herein mentioned as are settled or shall settle in any of His Majesty's colonies in America. Okay, as I break down before, America at that time was known as British America. Okay, prior to the Reconstruction era. Okay, so there was one empire. Okay, at that time, according to the Plantation Act, and the Naturalization Act is nothing more or nothing less but the same as the Plantation Act. Okay, so this shows you that the entire region was the same, under the same pretty much colonial occupation, right, so to speak, or so-called, right. The act also required making specific declaration. Hold on. So up here, the act became effective the 1st of June, and it's still effective, right? So this is the root, the what Naturalization Act is, pretty much, right? So you can really, and it's more of a religious thing when you check it out, because it's a Protestant alien. So the act became effective on the 1st of June 1740 and allowed any Protestant alien, right? So these Protestant, it's pretty much an offshoot of from the Catholic Church, the ones who didn't like the way the Catholic did their stuff. So pretty much everything is on a religion, okay? Residing in any of their American colonies for 7 years. So it's always 7 years, right? 7 years for you to for your to clear your record, right? Without being absent from that colony. So you have 7 years, according to the Systematizing Trust. You have 7 years to claim your estate. If you don't claim your estate within 7 years, you'll be considered dead at lost at sea. All right. For more than 2 months to be deemed His Majesty's natural born subjects of his kingdom, right? So unless you are a peasant, then you you should know that you're not a subject of nothing. Okay, a subject is under someone, okay, or something. The act also required making specific declarations concerning royal allegiance and succession, profession of the Christian faith. Okay, so as I told you, it was always about religion. Religion was that like buffer zone, so to speak, that protects your rights. Okay, so your beliefs, your belief in the Most High, that can also protect your rights. Your rights is considered your intangible property. Okay, your rights are your property as well. Okay, get to know that your rights. It's why you always reserve your rights, because your rights is your property, intangible. All right. So, and the payment of 2 shillings compared to other alternatives available at the time. Act provided a cheap and easy method of imperial naturalization, and the length of residency was not unreasonable. Okay. Background. Reflecting the situation in Britain, the necessary profession of Christian faith was distinctly Protestant. Okay. So the Christian faith was distinctly Protestant and specifically Anglican. The act was not intended for conscientious Roman Catholics, and they were referred to as a law as papist. So they were referred to in law as papist. Exceptions, however, for non-conforming religious scruples, the conscience were made. In the case of Quaker and Jews, adherents of both faiths were allowed to dispense with the sacramental tests, with the former being allowed to affirm the oaths, and the latter being relieved of the obligation to repeat the words upon the true faith of a Christian at the end of the oath abjuration required by the Act of Settlement. Okay, since 1701, right? And the Settlement Act was pretty much the same thing as a birth certificate, right? Okay, what you call a birth certificate today. The Plantation Act was enacted to systematize naturalization procedures in all localities, as well as to encourage immigration to the American colonies. Right, so this is this is even before the what you call it. This is way before the I forgot what you call it, man. Out in New York, with the that port that they came through, right? A lot of these immigrant, right? So, you know, the reason I bring these things up is to see where certain pieces are missing, so we could fill the pieces in, so we could understand how the system really works, structure of things, so we could see where and how to deal with certain situations, you know what I'm saying, right? Secretaries of colonies, so let's see. So it provided a workable naturalization procedure by empowering colonial courts to administer the oath of allegiance to aliens, right? So the oath of allegiance to a king, all right? So in order to be a so-called resident of the Americas, including the islands, West Indies, you have to do an oath of allegiance to a king, right? To a king that is completely foreign to your ideas, your beliefs, right? For that period, that I would say, okay. The act endowed colonial courts with the responsibility of deciding when alien petitioners had fulfilled the statutory requirements for imperial citizenship. So it was called imperial citizenship. So all they did was took the imperial off and called it the United US, U.S, right? It's an imperial system, okay? The secretaries of colonies were required on a penalty to send annual list of such persons, right? So you know, persons, what persons is, the commissioners of trade and plantation. So the Board of Trade of British government body concerning commerce industry, currently within the Department of International Trade. So this proves the laws of the committee and the Privy Council. So this is also evidence of human trafficking, pretty much, right? Because unless you're dealing with the plantation through trade, through commerce, then you won't be, your application won't be considered, right? In the proprietary colonies, judges were appointed by colonial governors and thus represented the royal or proprietary interest. So we all know what these courts are. They're corrupt, right? So a lot of things they flipped, they switched up, right? A lot of things got rewritten, rearranged. So you don't know what really happened the way it really happened, right? So a lot of things got flipped upside down, and who is who, you're confused, right? This is what gets you confused and makes you ignorant, so you don't know what you're talking about. You feel me? However, by delegating authority to colonial officials, naturalization became subject to the pressure of the same local interest groups that increasingly defied the governor's efforts to implement royal and proprietary instructions on other issues. Despite the penalties imposed under the Act, only 6 secretaries of the 13 colonies and 1 in the West Indies submitted mandates. So you see, this is to show you that the British Empire stretched all the way to pretty much the West Indies, even in some parts of South America too, right? But it's all about trade and commerce, really. Okay, it always been, always will be, right? In England during the 17th and 18th century, several basic statutes, right, applied to naturalization, but these statutes would not include many aliens in the colonies who were considered an integral part of the colonial communities. Over the same time period, American provinces, except New Hampshire, passed their own Naturalization Act, which granted citizenship to people living within their province. These laws were based more on local colonial interpretations of community citizenship than on stricter consideration in the mother country, right? So Britain began withdrawing support to promote immigration to the colonies at the end of the 7 Years' War. The colonial implementation, both before and after the Plantation Act, tended to ignore, evade, and reshape English regulation, thus vitiating many policy decisions and generating a chaotic array of citizenship procedures like what you have right now. Okay? Because the truth be told, no American, right? When I say American, I'm talking about in general, from the north to south, should be forced, right, to be naturalized into a corporation. You know what I'm saying? Because of their ethnic background, of being American, of course. You know what I'm saying? So it's unfair to true Americans, right? People, American, indigenous, or Indian bloodline, connection to these Americas, right? It's not, by law, by natural law, should not be subject to any form of naturalization acts. Okay, so it only goes for those who are on the plantations, right? And you don't have to be on a plantation physically, right? So I'm gonna go over to British America so you could see for yourself over here. I mean, do the research, and I'm saying you're gonna see just connect the dots. You know what I'm saying?